I think the night sky is something that to a lot of people is one of the most intimate parts of nature to them, and to others it's the most detached part of nature. And getting people to appreciate that that's out there is important to me, and I mean that's why I'm part of an astronomical society and part of an astronomy club here. It's something that's been a part of my life for a while now.
Since time immemorial, ancient humans have always looked up at the night sky. Histories began sitting around fires talking about stories and heroes and hunting stories, and those became stories in the night sky. For my 40th birthday, I got my very first telescope, and it was a department store telescope, so I thought they were doing me a favor. It was one of these little $100 telescopes, and I excitedly, at 40 years old, took it out in the front yard, and the mount was wobbly, and I couldn't point it at anything, and it was mess. I tried for 2 hours to try to just find the moon and be able to get a good, and I couldn't do it. I was so determined to make this work that the next day I took it back to the store that the person that gifted it to me bought it at, and bought a better one. And then from that point, I took that one home, set it up. It was stable. I could point it at things. I could find things. And seriously, I just looked at the moon because it was easy to find, and I was hooked. It took me nothing.
In high school, I built my own telescope, and I had $20 to build it. So I partnered with a friend of mine who also wanted to build a telescope, and we had $40. We asked the guy from our Astronomical Society if he could pitch in. He pitched in $50, and with $50 we built a 10-inch Dobsonian. Today now, I would look at the views that we got and be like, wow, that's not that great. Like, this telescope is so rickety, you would move it a little bit and the mirrors would be out of alignment. I loved it so much, and that's what took me from being like, oh yeah, astronomy is something kind of interesting, to I love astronomy and this is something I absolutely want to do for the rest of my life.
Some of the effects of light pollution, or the causes of light pollution, are too many lights on at night. It's very simple. Somewhere in our history, I don't know if it was the light companies decided it was a good marketing thing, but people have become miseducated, I should say, to the fact that more lights is good and it's safer. And in actuality, that's contrary to the actual truth. Indeed, bright lights cause so much glare that you can have somebody standing 10 feet in front of you and not be able to see them.
When it comes to the crime rates in areas, there are numerous studies from Chicago to Paris to New York to Rome, where cities have done experiments where they reduce the number of lights in an area, or they take out alley lights, or they add lights to areas. And the most common denominator from all these studies is crime goes down when lights go down. Criminals are just as scared of the dark as you are. Probably the greatest proportion of light pollution is from our street lights and our businesses. Commercial and roadside street lighting, it has a great effect on the ambient lighting around the sky, and although you might be in an area with no lights, it's the greater area around you, the multi-square kilometer area around you, that really influences how much light is being bounced off the atmosphere.
It just disperses and puts a glow into the entire atmosphere. Think of Las Vegas, where lights are shooting up. And anytime you're throwing light around the atmosphere, that light is scattering off the air molecules.
Three, two, one, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Columbia to broaden our view of the universe through the Hubble Space Telescope.
With the start of the Hubble Space Telescope, everyone was able to get the most beautiful images. I mean, they're digitized images, which is new to everyone because film was still in its heyday. When the Hubble Space Telescope was launched, it used a rather revolutionary CCD camera.
When we think of images coming from the Hubble, there's a lot of important data in there that can be used for science. But those images from the Hubble were specifically part of the program to engage the public. So those beautiful images that were starting to publish in 1994, when Hubble first started producing its images, were there for a reason to engage the public with the science going on in the background. And amateur equipment and technology and know-how and skill has gotten so good that there's people in their backyards producing images as good as Hubble started out with. So some of these people are producing incredibly professional level images.
Arizona is a really unique state in that we have more amateur astronomers in Arizona than almost any other state, and we have entire communities of amateur astronomers who have built an entire towns, multiple of which are geared completely towards giving people who want to just observe or image the night sky their own communities. Yeah, so what we usually do is we'll walk around for a little bit, just kind of look at the area, and usually we'll try to get to wherever we're going before sundown so we can see, how light's falling on a subject, what the textures of things look like, because it's very hard to determine textures at night. We usually look during the daytime, see the kind of stuff we want to image, and then we let people find what spots they want to get into, and I walk around and I just try to help people image, and if people are completely lost, I'll walk them through the entire process of how you set up your camera, what kind of tripod you need, do you need an interferometer, do you not need an interferometer? I mean, I've had guys where they literally took a pebble, piece of duct tape, taped it over the shutter of their camera, and just sat there taking pictures, and they still get really beautiful stuff. Well, Flagstaff is probably the most famous dark sky city, and it does so much to try to promote dark skies. And like you were saying, the way that we go about this is we use orange lighting. It's not necessarily sodium vapor, but there are some sodium vapor lights. They give off that orange tinge. A lot of them are gelled LED lights. One of the big drawbacks to a lot of communities, they hear like, oh, we hate the astronomers hate the blue lights, but the sodium vapor lights are so much less efficient than LEDs. We love our LEDs, but when it comes down to it, you can put an orange film that costs 10 cents on top of the light, and all of a sudden the blue LED light is orange. Who that really affects is the environment and also people's upbringing. I mean, people who are brought up being able to appreciate the night sky, they may appreciate nature more, and I think that's something that's important in the world.
Any big city around the world, you can't see any of it. And so preserving some of these night skies is important. We have people travel from very far away, all around the world, to come to Lowell Observatory and other places like this to be able to look up and see the Milky Way. And people see it for the first time here. And one good example is a woman from Alabama just 2 years ago who, after one of my presentations on the galaxies in the universe, said, I came here because I wanted to see the Milky Way. Will I be able to do that? And I walked her outside and she looked up and was just overwhelmed and started crying. I mean, that's the emotional impact that the night sky can have.